Brian Rolapp just took over the PGA Tour, and his first major test is already turning into a complete disaster. The USGA wants to roll back the golf ball to cut driving distance for elite players. Rolapp seemed ready to let it happen, eager to align with the governing bodies. He did not count on a massive player revolt. A formal ultimatum has now been handed to the new CEO. 11 of the biggest names in golf are demanding he kill the ball rollback and completely scrap his new two-tier tournament system. Ignore them, and they are threatening consequences that could reshape the tour schedule for decades. This is not a group of angry players venting on social media. This is a calculated strike built on hard financial data. These players know exactly how much revenue, sponsorship money, and viewership they generate for the product, and they are weaponizing every dollar of it to force a total change in direction. The tour simply cannot survive without its biggest stars drawing crowds and ratings. Yet the most shocking part of this whole situation is not the rollback itself. The real story is the specific group of superstars who built this rebellion behind closed doors, a coalition covering every demographic, every playing style, and every financial angle on tour. I honestly believe the USGA is destroying the equipment side of golf. But do you agree with the players taking this stand? Drop your thoughts below and subscribe for more honest golf coverage. The first player to draw a hard line did not just complain about the rules. He dismantled them with a single comparison that left tour executives without an answer. Justin Thomas took the lead immediately. He broke down exactly why the USGA plan makes zero sense for the professional game, and his main argument targeted the split it creates between the pros and the everyday golfer. If the rollback happens, the best players in the world are forced to use shorter, weaker equipment, while weekend amateurs keep their current high-performance balls. He compared it to making a Formula One team race on standard street tires just to slow the cars down. It changes the fundamental test of skill. It strips away the elite edge these players spent their entire lives building, and the commercial danger is very real. If the pros play with restricted gear, the product on television gets noticeably worse. Drives that once carried 320 yards suddenly drop to 305. Sponsors and broadcasters notice that instantly because their advertising rates are tied directly to viewer engagement. In those closed-door meetings, Thomas laid out the mathematical proof. The rollback doesn't just hurt scorecards, it actively damages the commercial value of the entire tour. The everyday fan tunes in to watch the absolute limits of human performance. Take that away, and you give them one less reason to turn on the television Sunday afternoon. The split hurts the grassroots too. When the USGA changes the ball's testing conditions, manufacturers apply those same restrictions to the retail balls in local pro shops. The premium ball a weekend golfer has bought for 5 years vanishes, replaced by a restricted version that spins less and flies shorter. Club pros spend thousands updating teaching equipment. And if amateurs feel the game is being artificially restricted, they play less and buy less. The exact grassroots participation the tour uses to justify its massive television contracts. Equipment logic only covered half the problem. The traditional soul of the game faced an even bigger threat from the new tournament structure. Rory McIlroy shifted the focus from the ball to the actual competitive test. Take 15 yards off the best players in the world, he argued, and you change how they attack every hole, turning a game of precision and creative course management into one of restricted yardage. Fans want to see a massive drive carved around a tree onto a narrow fairway. They want players attacking pins from distances that seem impossible. Remove that spectacle and the broadcast gets slower and far less exciting. Then McIlroy tied it directly to the two-tier plan, calling the lower-tier events a glorified minor league that disrespects the history of the sport. For a player with his reverence for tradition, downgrading the equipment while relegating iconic tournaments to second-class status was completely unacceptable. His words rallied the traditionalist fan base worldwide, a major champion defending the identity of the game against a plan that treats historic venues like disposable assets on a spreadsheet, defending. The soul of the game required more than passion. It required dismantling the exact corporate blueprint the new CEO brought from the NFL. Rolapp spent years as a top NFL executive, where the league runs on a closed franchise model with salary caps and a fixed hierarchy. He wants to apply that same media rights logic to golf. His blueprint builds a two-tier system from scratch, a championship series at the top with the biggest stars and largest purses, and a challenger series below with reduced prize money and minimal coverage. In the NFL, that works because teams are fixed franchises. The Dallas Cowboys are always the Cowboys, win or lose. Golf is individual and merit-based. You earn your spot through performance, not a franchise tag. You cannot relegate the Farmers Insurance Open or the Genesis Invitational to minor league status just to make the top tier look exclusive without destroying the ecosystem that has sustained the tour for a century, and the logistics are worse than the math. A minor league tier means brutal travel with far lower payouts. Caddies who live on a percentage see their income cut in half. Players fly commercial, stay in budget hotels, and compete on courses without top-tier infrastructure. It destroys the mid-tier professional and puts a permanent ceiling on how far a player can climb without a corporate sponsor, driving away the hungry young talent that keeps the sport exciting. That flawed corporate math was about to collide with the two most powerful players in the entire sport, Tiger Woods and Scottie. Scheffler joining the coalition changed everything overnight. Tiger brings unmatched historical weight. Nobody understands better how the tour's legacy was built on open opportunity, historic venues, and merit. When Tiger tells the policy board a plan is bad for the long-term health of the game, the room goes silent. Scheffler brings the undeniable leverage of being world number one, the face of the modern game and the primary draw for casual viewers. If Scheffler refuses to play the new championship series, the broadcast value of the entire top tier collapses instantly. Together, they form an unbreakable wall no CEO can ignore. Rolapp cannot dismiss the greatest player of all time and the current best in the world at the same time. Their message was explicit. They will not be treated like franchise assets in a reorganization. Star power alone would not win this. The coalition still needed the players who control the narrative, the statistics, and the locker room. Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, and Collin Morikawa brought a different kind of leverage. Schauffele is the reliable major contender broadcasters build their coverage around, always in the mix Sunday afternoon. Spieth carries massive traditional appeal and holds the critical seat of players' director on the policy board, knowing exactly how to organize the room and carry demands straight to leadership. Morikawa represents the modern, analytical side of golf that attracts a younger, affluent demographic. Together, they cover the exact viewer segments that keep sponsors investing millions. Lose them, and the championship series loses its competitive balance and its core audience across every age group. Demographic leverage was secured. But the coalition still needed the financial architects who understood the tour's money better than the executives. Patrick Cantlay, Max Homa, and Victor Hovland filled the final gaps. Cantlay is the ultimate financial mind on tour. He helped build the mathematical framework of the current FedEx Cup system and understands prize money distribution better than almost anyone in the boardroom. When Cantlay says the two-tier system destroys the financial motivation for the broader field, executives cannot wave it off as emotion. His numbers are precise and undeniable. Homa brings enormous social media reach and an everyman personality that connects with casual fans in a way statistics never could. Hovland secures the international market, keeping the global audience strong across Europe and beyond. With these three, the players now control every angle of the tour's business model. The legends, the current stars, the traditionalists, the analysts, the financial experts, and the international draw. All under one demand. 10 were locked in. The coalition needed one final piece of political influence to make the ultimatum airtight. Keegan Bradley was that piece. As Ryder Cup captain, he holds immense political sway and a direct line to the policy board few players can match. His addition completed the official 11. Justin Thomas, Rory McIlroy, Tiger Woods, Scottie Scheffler, Xander Schauffele, Jordan Spieth, Collin Morikawa, Victor Hovland, Max Homa, Patrick Cantlay, and Keegan Bradley. Not a random collection of frustrated golfers, a perfectly constructed coalition covering every demographic, playing style, financial leverage point, and political angle on the entire tour. Having the names was only step one. The real power is in the mechanics of the ultimatum. This is not a tweet or a vague press release. It is a formal document with specific demands and a hard deadline. The players are leveraging their absolute necessity to the tour's broadcast valuations and sponsorship deals, contracts built entirely around their participation. If these 11 refuse to play the new structure, the broadcast partners will immediately demand a full renegotiation of the media rights deal. The financial pressure is devastatingly simple. The tour's entire valuation rests on media rights and corporate sponsorships that follow the biggest stars. Rolex, FedEx, and Dell pay tens of millions to associate with elite golf, premium content featuring the most recognizable athletes, not a minor league with reduced visibility. Restrict the equipment and split the tour, and the product becomes less premium overnight. Sponsors redirect their budgets elsewhere. The math is brutal. Rolapp can satisfy the corporate sponsors and 11-star players, or he can please the USGA and RNA with their rollback mandate. He cannot do both without destroying the product. The governing bodies refuse to back down. They spent years developing this rollback, arguing it protects historic courses and the environmental sustainability of the sport, pointing to venues like Augusta National buying adjacent land just to add yardage. Longer courses, they say, mean more water, fertilizer, and land clearing. But the players see through it. If the ball goes back 15 yards, the tour just moves the tees forward or adds bunkers. They believe environmentalism is a shield for the real goal, controlling the professional game. And the networks are caught in the middle. NBC, CBS, and ESPN want the biggest stars, in the biggest events, with the best equipment. Not a fractured, confusing two-tier product. They quietly signaled they'd side with the players if a vote is forced. With broadcasters, sponsors, and players all aligned against the rollback, the outcome was essentially decided before Rolapp ever spoke. And to grasp the magnitude, remember the history. The last major equipment change restricted wedge grooves to cut spin from the rough, and that caused an uproar. But that was minor compared to altering the ball itself, the single most important piece of equipment in the sport, the one constant connecting the weekend hacker to the major champion. Players have calibrated their swings, their launch monitors, and their entire course strategy around the current ball. Asking them to adapt to a new one is like asking a pitcher to suddenly throw a baseball half the size. It invalidates years of muscle memory. They aren't just fighting for their paychecks. They're fighting to protect the physical reality of the game they mastered, which brings us to the resolution. The players won this fight decisively. Brian Rolapp has publicly acknowledged that everything is on the table regarding the rollback, the corporate equivalent of admitting defeat. The tour is officially distancing itself from the USGA mandate to protect its own future. The two-tier system has been completely abandoned. The traditional events stay at the highest level, full purses and full coverage intact. Historic venues keep their prestige and their place on the schedule. The 11 prove that in professional golf, the athletes who actually execute the product hold the ultimate power. Governing bodies can write rules in boardrooms, but if the stars refuse to play by them, the rules become meaningless. The players are no longer just participants. They are the primary stakeholders, and they will not let anyone compromise the game they've dedicated their lives to mastering. When the first tee is struck at the next major, the ball will fly just as far. The courses will be attacked just as aggressively. And the players will know they have the backing of their peers to protect the game they love. This is what true leadership looks like in modern professional sports.